Did I say
With
that
all his
really?
hair.
Yes. Did I go up and shower? Yeah, I was like, go fuck yourself, Patrick.
Well, I haven't. I shower very infrequently now. At least less frequently than I used to shower.
Okay. How infrequent? Like Jake Gyllenhaal infrequent?
Like
I don't
every
know
other
what that
day.
means. Yeah, like every other day, every couple days.
Okay.
I used to shower every day. Now it's just like, I look at showering. I'm like, okay, well, if I don't smell bad, I'd rather spend that 20-minute period of time doing something else. Which seems crazy to fight over 20 minutes of time, but boy howdy, being a parent, every minute is valuable.
I guess that's true.
I'm not judging.
Nothing that anyone that has ever had children has made me feel like, hell yeah, I'm ready to sign up for that.
No one's ever ready to sign up for having children.
Yeah.
I don't regret it even a tiny
never,
bit.
Like sold it to me, you know?
Yeah. I don't even regret
Listen,
it a
I'm not
tiny
trying
bit.
to sell it.
No, I don't regret it the tiniest bit. I love this kid. I would murder people for this kid. I love this kid to death.
Yes.
But also, only have kids if you want to have kids, because your your life of you is gone. Like we've been together for 16 years now, so we're good. We've had plenty of us. We've traveled, we've done shit. We're good, but I still mourn the loss of my life.
Yeah.
Especially being in a Discord server with people who are like, look at all these cool video games I'm playing. I'm like, well, I've played 2 hours of video games in the past week.
My mind was made up about this when I was like 13, so I'm good.
Okay.
Sweet.
You don't have to tell me. I'm 40 is coming down the tracks very quickly, and people are like, oh, you're gonna have someday. I'm like, fucking when?
When? How?
Okay.
Right. I'm like, I'm pretty much at the.
Oh, sorry. Nira's waving his hand because we need to record
waving
this late.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, you
Everyone
didn't do your
Sorry.
little conductor thing. Thank you.
Is this where we clap? Are we clapping?
Yeah, we're gonna do the clap
Yeah,
thing.
in a minute.
Only,
Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, the second to the bottom.
Oh yeah, there we go. All right.
107 in Tokyo. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Let's
man.
do it. 20 seconds.
Okay.
Clap redacted.
Okay. All good.
That was terrible.
That was terrible. Did you hear everyone clap was terrible?
I didn't hear anyone else's. Yours was so loud it made my ear go boom.
Jesus. Okay, it's fine. As long as everyone says they clapped, I have to believe them because there's no way to check it. Okay.
It's like being a cop. You can't lie about it.
Yeah, except you can actually. Please, that's a note for everybody. You can lie about it if you're a cop.
You can lie about clapping?
No,
Oh,
about
the
being
cop
a
thing.
cop.
Oh yeah.
It's
This
not
is the part of the
entrapment.
podcast where I reveal that I'm actually really pro cop.
Damn. We just lost our entire audience.
So
That does
weird. I
explain
have
the
to
Blue Lives
leave.
Matter cap that you left in my car.
Yeah.
And the giant Blue Lives Matter flag that's always behind him in every
It
recording.
had
Yeah.
It had a picture
next to the
of like
don't
a
tread on me.
the back of the cap
No
had like
step on
this
snake.
sort of like mascot that was like an animated like pig wearing sunglasses and a cop's hat doing a middle finger.
Was it Porky the
Sounds
Pig?
cool.
That actually sounds great.
A cab.
Okay, well, welcome everyone to A Court of Bros and Broses Nights. We're recording this pretty late at night due to baby circumstances, but
Thank
regardless,
you for accommodating.
yeah, we're here. We're gonna do this. So this is gonna be our finale for season 1. So we've got a couple of guests on today, and this is gonna be sort of a roundtable episode. I'm Nirav as always, and I'm joined by Joe and Patrick. You guys say hello first.
Hello first.
All right.
Hello, second.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right,
Chemistry.
and we are joined by our social media manager, Rachel. Say hi.
Hello.
Rachel, could you speak up a little bit?
How's this?
That's better. And Alexa, our research assistant.
Hello.
Yeah, and Lyndsey, do you have a title?
No title, just Lyndsey. Hello.
Okay,
Emotional
great.
support, Lyndsey.
Emotional support, Lyndsey.
Yeah, that works.
Nirav just
Okay.
scratched her chin very lovingly for those just listening to this,
It was
which is
sweet.
everyone.
I don't know if... All right, it doesn't have to be... We don't have to do like a play-by-play of what's happening on the video.
Listen, the listeners can't see what's happening on the video, and I have to just describe it to them.
That's true. Okay, so what we are doing today is sort of a wrap-up. We've had some time to digest the book. I believe we finished it like 3 weeks ago or something like that.
Yeah.
So we've had some time to sit on it and We are here with 3 guests who have read these books, and not only this book, but all 3 of you have read the entire series. Yes, that's out so far?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and they have promised not to spoil anything for us here today. I did have
We'll try our best.
Yeah, although I did have a good idea to do a separate episode later where you guys can just do like a spoiler episode and talk about it or something without us, but I thought that might be fun. Maybe a good April Fool's Day episode. Actually, sorry, no, the April Fool's Day episode was going to be the 3 of you talk about Star Wars.
You can't tell people. Like
That's not an April Fool's joke anymore then.
Anyway, okay, so yeah.
It's not about Star Wars. It's about something totally different. It's not Star Wars.
Not Star Wars.
It's not going to be Star Wars.
Enough.
I don't even like Star Wars.
That's a lie.
That is the April
That's the
Fool's
April Fool's joke. You actually love Star Wars.
Okay. And you like the Star Wars, yes?
Yeah, what I've seen.
Yeah. Okay.
The Star Wars.
Okay, so anyway, what we're going to do tonight is kind of do a little bit of a review of not just the book, but of, like, I guess our reading of the book is kind of the main thing. So we're trying to kind of get some ideas from folks who have read the entirety of the series as to, like, how good of a job we did understanding what was going on / interpreting, X, Y, and Z things. So I know some of us have some notes to share. Now, I think Lyndsey actually took some notes on the first episode of our podcast and had some thoughts.
Oh my gosh!
So I thought,
this is gonna be embarrassing, probably, right? This is turning into a light roast.
This is like a light roast.
Yeah, we did talk about this being a light roast a little bit.
Yeah, and so I think she's got some notes about the first episode, like reviewing our first episode of the podcast. So I think that would be a good place to start.
Well, we also wanted to read Kyle's notes.
We have that
based on our summary. Okay, so that's not the opening. Okay.
No, I kind of want it to be the closing because, like, I feel like I want to actually, you know what, though?
I thought that'd be good. That'd be a nice recap for us to, like, how long is it?
It's not that long. Okay, you know what? We're going to do Kyle's thing first. So, if anyone's not aware, our last episode, we had our friend, it's my friend. Kyle's everyone's friend now. My friend Kyle was a guest on our episode, and we kind of, we had to recite from memory, basically, the entirety of the book, like the plot of the book, and then he also, in a sort of game of insane telephone, took notes and has recited back to us.
Which we did not tell him to do. He did this on his own, and then told us afterwards he took notes, and we were like, "Great, this is actually awesome."
Yeah, absolutely did not ask him to do that, but he always goes the extra mile. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start reading through here, and when there are things that are spelled weirdly and incorrectly, I will try to say them as they are spelled.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so this is the very beginning. Tamlin bursts in and takes her to Fairyland. So that's the first note. Stoneheart, nice. Important, and then there are 3 stars next to that.
I told him to write that down.
We said it was going to be on the test.
Takes her to Fairyland sounds like he's taking her to Disney World. It's like their version of Disney World. Like he burst in, surprise! We're going to Fairyland.
I like that actually.
Does we're going to Disneyland?
Does a Disneyland alternative actually exist in this universe?
Yeah.
No, but it can. We can make it.
It's called Voyage World.
Voyage World.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, then we have only high fae are human, which is I think factually not true, but.
I think it means human in appearance.
Yeah, humanoid. Yeah, in appearance.
Humanoid.
Mm-hmm. Fairy draws her out by pretending to be her dad. That one stuck. Yeah, that part I think stuck.
That happened.
Mm-hmm. School prank. Fairy wing tearing.
Oh yeah, the classic school prank.
Fire festival. Resun is here. That is spelled Reesun, which I cannot fault him for.
To be fair, I don't know how I'd spell that. Yeah.
Yeah. Resun is here. Hottest guy ever. Farrah shouldn't be here.
Hottest guy
ever.
This is true. And also, Farrah shouldn't be there.
Yeah. Tamlin
so far, he's batting 1,000. Like no notes.
This is perfect.
Tamlin gets a little rapey and bites Fair's neck.
Fair.
Then it says yada yada yada. They fall in love. Which is also
that's all we need to know about the first half.
Yeah. All right. Then he licks her eyelids or kiss? ? Fair drinks ecstasy wine. Tamlin plays fiddle like the devil himself. Did someone say that? Like, is that a sentence we said?
I think so.
You 100% did.
I think we did the devil. Because he said he does the devil that went on to Georgia, I think.
Yeah, I think that was canonically the song he played, yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Tamlin and Fair have sex, finally. Tamlin hearts Fair? ? Rhysand, totally not Amarantha spy, is back on the scene.
Rhysand is back on the scene.
That's so good.
He's so back, baby.
Okay. Amarantha dies later, or does she?
Oh yeah, we spoiled the ending of the book before.
We didn't do a good job. Tamlin foils Rhysand's plan as a total wet blanket. Tamlin sends Fair home. She stays there for 2 days because human world is stupid. She goes back and Springcourt is pretty much destroyed. Alice dumps exposition. Amarantha stole everyone's power. Okay. Tamlin can break the curse by getting someone to fall in love with him. Court was taken under the mountain to their court. Mysterious last part of curses unknown. Don't drink wine. Is the author a Mormon? ? Got a little Twilight leaking into this one. 3 tasks or a riddle? ? The riddle is love. So, just as a test, we again, like, when we were talking to Kyle, we just read him the riddle. He's like, is it love? That seems too easy. It's like,
yeah, he got it as fast as any other normal human being reading this book.
The thing is, when I was reading this... Oh, go on? Yeah.
Can I have a confession? I didn't get the riddle at first because I didn't even think about it. I was just... My mind was so... turned off when I was reading this. I was like, oh, that's an interesting riddle. I wonder what the answer is. She better figure it out.
I respect that. You're just along for the ride of like, it's a riddle. Like, it's up for her to solve. I'm not going to solve it. That would
You're just living through Vera.
I was just on the ride. It's instead of I heard it called instead of a passenger princess, like the idea that you're just like, it's usually a woman is just like along for the ride while her boyfriend drives. I'm a plot princess. I'm just there. Just drive me along.
A prose princess.
Yeah, a prose.
Ooh.
All right.
That's
all right. Let's see here. We're getting to the end here. We could have that as a sticker. Fair is illiterate. Fair. He spelled her name the same way every time, which is Faeyr, which is as good a way as any, I guess.
Faeyr. Okay.
Fair. Yeah. Fair fights the worm from Dune and gets a full sleeve tattoo.
Yep. Yes.
That's pretty much right, yeah. Rhysand makes Fair give him lap dances, but nothing further. Last task, Fair brought in room with 3 executions to be done, but last one is Tamlin. He has a stone heart, so he doesn't die. Fair finally solves the riddle. Everyone wins. Tamlin rips out Amarantha's throat. Fair comes back to life, and Tamlin has sex with her. The end.
This needs to be a recurring bit. Kyle has to do this for every book. This is my favorite.
We should definitely arrange that. Okay, so I think that does help me remember. I will say that the part where he wrote yada 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 is like about a third of the book, and I think I've forgotten everything that happened during that section.
No. It's fine. We'll fill in the blanks.
Yeah. Okay. So now, Lyndsey, why don't you give us a review of episode 1? And Rachel has done a review of episode 13. Is that correct?
I just took notes on things to bring up that it's like maybe you guys were struggling with, and also just my own personal observations on things.
We definitely did some struggling. All right. Why don't you take us away?
Okay. So these are more just observations as well. But my first one was that Joe is surprised that the wolf encounter at the beginning doesn't get sexy. So
I forgot about that.
We came in like hot and heavy to this genre, like not really knowing how it's supposed to work.
Y'all were expecting it from
I thought
the
they were
start.
just going to start having sex at the beginning, yeah.
But also, you were very much like, where's the sex? I want the sex. And then the sex happened, and you're like, this was nice, but I don't want to talk about it.
Well,
you know what?
Not
we
me.
did want to talk about it.
I kept the same energy the whole time.
That's true. Joe was really excited about the scene. You know what? I'm just used to the fade to black, man. I was just like, when I was in there, I was like, huh.
I've never had to talk about sex happening to a microphone that people will listen to.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. This is a new experience for all of us.
That is true.
When these books are described constantly as fairy porn, we kind of expected a lot.
I mean, I did give you the caveat.
You tempered our expectations eventually, but still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were only 2.5 sex scenes. There was the 2 real
Which one
sex
was the
scenes.
half?
What's the half?
When they smooched in the room.
Yeah, they were in the room, and then Reason's in there in the cuck chair, oh, I see you.
Oh, I forgot about his cuck chair, dude. But he likes it, so he's still in control of the situation.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think it gets kind of a misnomer. I mean, people call it fairy smut, I think, because it's kind of fun to call it fairy smut, but it doesn't even really get that smutty, I think, until book 5.
Book 5.
So many books away.
What? Oh my god!
I mean,
I thought book 2 got sexier.
It does.
I mean, they get progressively sexier, but when you want to actually go through and categorize, I would say that these books are book 1 is a fantasy adventure with romance. Book 2 gets a little bit spicier. It's this is a romance book, set in this fantasy world, and book 3 more so. Wait. Book 4 is just a little in-betweeny nothing thing. But then book 5 is oh.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you can send emojis in the video chat now.
Oh my god.
Never mind, sorry.
So book 5 is full-on porn. Is it? Would you describe it as pornographic?
No. I mean, you're going to have some scenes, but it's not... I mean, it's not even what I would call erotica. I mean, the scenes are descriptive, but there's more plot than there is spice, I think, to these books, which is kind of how I prefer it. But some people, if you kind of walk into this expecting it to be full on erotica, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
Yeah. All right.
I will ask you real quick on this topic. I was told, Rachel, by you, that book 2 has a vivid depiction of Tamlin's penis.
I didn't say vivid. I said you're going to get, because you were talking about how right now, it was earlier in book 1, and you're she does a lot of description of his forearms, and I was yeah, because right now that's it. I was when she gets into it a little bit more, you're going to see there is going to be some more depictions, and they're not going to be I'm trying to remember. They're not going to be super graphic depictions, but I think it is described. I remember someone's member in book 2 being described a few times, but not in
Joe has a
explicit
giant
detail.
grin on his face right now because up to this point he's been furious. He doesn't know what Tamlin's dick looks like.
I can't Google it either because then I'll get spoiled.
That's true. It'll be literally the first line of the Google page is going to be Tamlin's dick deceased, and it's going to be a huge spoiler.
But just his dick.
Okay, we got to continue.
Situation after an accident.
Jesus, dude! Oh my god, I almost went a whole hour without thinking about Elon Musk.
Why would you say it? All right.
Anyways,
continue.
Please continue.
Anyways, so ironically, the second thing I have written down is about sex, which is the teeth. You guys were really caught up about that.
Joe was really
guys. I think it was just Joe. Hold on.
Yeah,
don't.
Joe
it's brought up at least twice in the first episode.
By whom, though? By Joe.
I didn't say the second time. I'm not sure.
It was
Mira was currently sending just teeth emoji in the video.
Yeah. So
if I was a gambling man, I would say I brought up the teeth.
Yeah.
Probably. You guys get really caught up on the value of money.
Right.
Just the meaning.
Well, it's important to understand.
I do remember that.
Well, it's important to understand what the economy is like.
Is
sure.
it?
I mean, I don't know. How else am I going to know if Fair is making wise purchases at the market?
That seems to be the most important part of this book. Yes. That's why we're reading this.
Yeah, so then Nirav, you went on a rant about street preachers in South Carolina.
Yeah.
They seem to be pretty aggressive. Thought that was notable.
That is true.
I love these notes, by the way. I forgot the entire first episode.
Yeah, that is still true, by the way.
Nobody should go back and listen to it either. Let Lyndsey's summary be all you take away from it.
Yeah, let this be a fun memory, not an embarrassing one.
Mm-hmm. Well, you guys started doing like the predictions, and I thought it was funny because I wrote down like, oh, Patrick's prediction was pretty close, and I was like, wait, it was just Beauty and the Beast.
Yep, fucking nailed it.
So I think at the end, like I got beasted as well.
We all did
Yeah.
at one point or another.
Farrah certainly
also-
finally did.
Oh my gosh.
I liked also Alexis your original sign off, which was read more smut. I like that.
Thank you.
I mean,
I think they should have kept it, but
I
also
like Keep on Trucking way better.
Keep on Trucking is fine. Support your local bookstores is
fine?
the more important.
Is the
one.
Mona
Well, here's the
Lisa
question,
fine?
though.
Yeah. On it. Yes, we've seen it. It's fine.
That's true. Actually,
Here's
I've
the thing,
seen it
though.
too.
I bet you could find a dozen other podcasts that have Read More Smut as their sign off. Name one other podcast that has Keep on Trucking as their sign off.
I literally can't.
Exactly.
It doesn't.
There's
matter.
probably a trucker
How many-
podcast out there somewhere
I
that
have
has
to.
it.
I have to assume with how much
Trucker
driving
podcast.
truckers are doing, there's actually a lot of trucker podcasts.
But none of them probably use Keep on Trucking because it's too
No,
cliche.
probably not. It's too easy. Yeah, it's low hanging fruit. All right, what do we got?
Okay, the last one I'll read here is that the second episode starts with the sad realization that nothing is going to happen.
Fuck.
That holds
A lot
up.
of hope that just plummeted.
Okay. So
I did
yeah,
like the predictions of like maybe the next one is when they'll have sex. Maybe the next one is when they'll have sex. And every time you said it, I was like, sorry, boys.
Yeah, no,
Not
I did
yet.
the same thing.
Yeah, so now that we're kind of like got a foothold here, Rachel and Alexa, and obviously Lyndsey, I'd like to hear from you guys. What were some things that we said about this book early, like in the earlier part of the book, that jumped out at you? That you want to make some comments on?
Can I make another
Good or
confession?
bad.
Sorry, yeah.
What was that?
I said, can I make another confession?
Yeah.
I did not start listening to this podcast until episode like 4 or 5.
You can listen to older episodes. You don't have to listen to the one that's the newest one when you start.
I know, but I just never went back, and I never went back to the earlier episodes. So
It's fine.
Okay.
You know what?
It's
You're probably
fine.
not missing that much. Alexa did, though.
I did. I listened to the whole thing. It took me a minute. I waited a little bit, and I think waited until you guys had like 5 episodes out, and then I listened to batch listened all at once, and then I had notes.
Yeah, Alexa had no... Because I listened to the first episode, and then I didn't listen anymore. Until Alexa listened to episodes 1 through 5, and she comes to me and she goes, Patrick, did you know that Nirav is leaving the clap in all these episodes? I was like, wait, what? Fuck.
I would just like all of the listeners to know that the reduction of the clap is my doing because it was the worst thing I'd ever had to listen to in my entire life. The first time I was like, ah ha ha, it's so funny. The second time I was like, oh, maybe it's fine. The third time I was irate.
And I got the brunt of that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like my old podcast, Game Busters, like I did that for 3 years, and we had us trying to clap in every episode. It was like a recurring bit, and I don't know. As far as I know, people thought it was very funny. So that was.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Being clapped at.
Yeah, I think it's funny.
We clap at our son all the time.
I hated the keyboard
removed
noises.
by
It was
request.
a lot nicer.
I will
clap
say,
was
too, on the
removed.
re-listens to various episodes, I've also realized I say more than any Valley girl that has ever existed when I'm recording.
we all...
That's very
normal.
hard
I think all
to
of
get
us
away from.
I don't say it that much in my day-to-day life. It's only when I'm doing this.
That's because you're doing like money business all day in your real life.
That is true. I do make money business.
Careful, we're getting a little too close to telling people who Joe really is.
Yeah.
I'm a
We can't
I'm
let
a
them
meme
know.
coin investor. Yeah.
Damn.
Shit. He lost everything on Dogecoin, but then made it back on Melania coin.
Quite the opposite, actually.
Yeah, I was trying to think of.
Oh, go ahead. Things that I remember noticing early on of just like noting the different things that you guys came back on and would reference, things such as Isaac coming back, and I know that you guys talked about this, like Patrick brought up that I had mentioned it, and we talked about it separately in like the ladies only chat. Just you guys bringing up Isaac several times later on, and the interesting thing is, like, he came and went, and I never, ever gave him a second thought.
Yeah. I almost said that. I
almost also said that.
I was like, I shouldn't interrupt the lack of that.
Sorry, I'm drinking right now. But yes, Alexa, I understand your note. Well, I don't know.
I mean, it's just an interesting perspective of just, like, what a group of dudes fixates on versus like what I am here for when I am reading this romance novel of just like, okay, there's this man that exists and he is not important because this better person has come along.
Yeah. So far the things we have fixated on are money, teeth, and the only other man in the story.
Yes. And you guys were very, very fixated on the huntress, the mercenary.
I liked her.
Well, I mean, she's cool, but I said early on, I don't think she's coming back because they didn't give her a name.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And I think that, as we know, names are important.
I was hoping that she and Faye were going to like team up, and she was going to teach her some cool hunter moves, and they were going to like kick ass.
I mean, Faye was already a pretty baller hunter, as we've established. But
that's true, but does she do a lot of karate?
We
are missing a fun learning karate montage from this book.
Oh, if only it could be set to music.
Yeah.
I wonder if
save it
like
for the TV show.
I wonder if you picked up on these characters and maybe like fixated on them because you had to like read every like 4 or 5 chapters. You had to stop and then like talk about it for an hour on a podcast. Whereas I think when I was reading and Alexa was reading, we were just like reading and didn't really have to like stop and sort of digest every 4 or 5 chapters.
That's true. And think about it this way, like you guys spent maybe 45 minutes of your life with Isaac. I spent a month with him.
Longer. We spent so long with Isaac.
That's fair.
And like, so how long, when you reread this before breaking up the chapters for us for the podcast, how you read this book again like 2 days, right?
Yeah, I probably got through the book in 2 or 3 days.
That's fucking wild, considering it took us 3 months to read
But
it.
I also, like, I consume books very quickly.
No, I know, but it's just fun, like, because of the podcast.
Yeah.
The nature of the podcast and the nature of us having to, space out our recordings because we have other busy lives or whatever. Being able to, having to move through this book at a snail's pace was occasionally excruciating. Especially sometimes as the book ramped up a little bit and got like more exciting, I was like, oh, actually, like, kind of want to keep reading, and we can't.
Yeah, you didn't. I remember at a certain point you had to stop listening because that was the end of the chapters, and you were bummed out.
To be fair, that only happened a couple of times.
It was like in part 2, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the last third, to your point, was action-packed, but then there was that middle chunk where it's the more character-focused, like, small story stuff, where when you're doing it 3 chapters, which, not bad, the chapters were also excellently selected, by the way. Like, I thought they all had great breaks where they felt natural to stop at, too. So, like, shout out to you on picking those.
Thank you.
But then, like, the whole, like, when it's like 10 or 12 chapters of slow character-driven stuff over 2 months, it feels really long when you're talking about it.
Yeah. This is certainly not like the way the artist intended it to be consumed. So I definitely get that. Like, I mean, just on the same scale of like, people calling this like a popcorn book or something. Like, imagine if you sat down and you had to watch, fucking Captain America 4 in 10-minute chunks over the course of 2 months. Like, it would not be good. I mean, it still isn't good, but like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
That sounds like an interesting podcast. But
that could be something else.
Honestly, the idea of covering a single 2-hour film over the course of 3 months in these weird 10-minute chunks sounds like an insane plot. Like,
that would be
good. And then trying to talk for an hour about these 10-minute movie chunks.
What are your predictions for the next 10 minutes of this movie?
Oh my god,
so
yes, we have to
good,
actually stop. Yes, like every 10
We really
minutes to
need to
stop
do
every
this.
10 minutes. Yeah.
10 minutes. This podcast is called 10 Minutes in Hollywood. And
we'll call it 12 minutes. There's nothing called 12 minutes, is there?
I think if you
Come
wanted
on.
to,
Was there anything in 10 minutes?
There's a bad video game
This is
called
such a
12
niche
minutes.
joke.
Never
That's
mind.
for nobody except me, and I'm on the podcast with you. All right, listen. Let's continue. So, what did you? I wanted to focus on some of the more character things. So, like, we obviously did not have like a super high opinion of Farah throughout the book, but I know that, for instance, like, Alexa, you did have a little bit like more of an attachment to that character, and even the first time through the book, and then like Lyndsey had said you did not really care for this character the first time through this first book. Mm-mm. So I was curious about how you guys like felt about our reactions to this character specifically.
I think it was about right.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. My sister forced me to read the book, and I fought her the whole time. Like, I hated it. I hated Farah. I thought she was the dumbest person ever. So it was a struggle. It wasn't until well into the second book that I was like, okay, she's getting better. I like her.
Mm-hmm. You guys know the Brooklyn Nine-Nine gift of vindication. That's Joe
Vindication.
Right now.
Yeah.
And then Alexa, you liked Farah more, right?
I did, yeah. But I also like, I read the first book to give you guys the notes, and then I just kept going. So like, better Farah was already very fresh in my mind, and also like, I don't know.
But can you think about like how can you put yourself in the frame of
yes,
time of
absolutely,
like, your
I
first
can.
time reading it?
For me, I think some of the, I mean, we have talked about this off air.
The two of us.
Well, the two of us, and
Just
like,
leaking content.
Yeah. Of just, I had like, you have a connection to this character, and she's the main character of the book, and like it's hard to not put yourself in that position of like being her, and like she does these things and you're like, I could do those things. I can be that person. Like, I can kiss fairy boys and it's awesome. And so like hearing a bunch of dudes talk smack about this character who, yes, absolutely, she is really hard to get behind in the first book. Like, I will not deny that she is frustrating and like just impossible for a lot of that book. But when it's guys coming into a space that is mainly for women and talking about a main character that women identify with, or is just like a series that people find very beloved, and you like dunk on her often, it makes the space hard to sit in. And that was a conversation that we had to have of just like, I think you guys need to be a little bit nicer to Farah. She is dumb sometimes, but be nicer, because I feel like her sometimes. And it feels like an attack on me and the things that I love.
It's harder too, because you, like you said before, you also have the context of, you've read this entire book series. You're already attached to her. Like, you love this character. So hearing us dunk on her, even though we don't have the context of her full character growth like you do,
it's hard not to be defensive.
Yeah, which I understand, and that's another reason we tell people don't listen to the beginning episodes of this podcast, because like after receiving feedback from like Alexa and people, it's like, all right, maybe we gotta adjust our tone a tiny bit.
Yeah,
I think you guys really did.
I think that's why you were getting some of the harsher comments on Discord too. Is when you were
on TikTok.
All right, that's what I meant, on TikTok. Because I think there was one that you released and you kind of riled up people a bit, and you know, we had to have a conversation about. I'm like, you're kind of in a woman's space. This is content written by a woman for women, you know, and that's not to say that men cannot also enjoy this content, but you're kind of in a space that women are going to get defensive about pretty quickly, and they're probably going to get more defensive about it than if it was other women discussing the content.
Yeah, like if it was three women saying the exact same words, it plays a little differently than three dudes saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To our defense, though, I checked on Spotify, and there are already 30 podcasts that are that.
Are there really? Are there other podcasts that are just dudes talking about this book?
No. Sorry, that are groups of women talking about this book specifically.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that
makes sense.
That makes sense.
Surprising.
Joke, yeah. No, it's
I
for sure. Yeah.
I definitely agree with that feedback, especially, our comments were not, especially coming from three guys, are going to inherently be construed as misogynistic just because we're being negative towards a woman. Even though obviously we all know that was not where we were coming from. It 100% see how those would all be construed. So it's definitely good feedback to get and then adjust kind of how we approach the character too. And I also at the end liked Feyre a lot more, especially as I got to know the character more and the trial she goes through later and how she handles those as well. So
and also a little bit of context too is like it was the group of the three. Well, Joe and Nirav know each other IRL, and then Nirav and I know each other, but Joe and I don't really know each other, and like the three of us have never like done anything, the three of us, before, so we're also kind of establishing kind of a working recording relationship at the same time. It's not like we did again kind of like rough draft of we just went for it.
Actually, to that point, I want to say I got a comment from a friend who listened to the whole thing, and like she was like, wow, like did Joe and Patrick know each other before they met you? And I was like, no, what? And they're like, well, they have such a good rapport together. I was like, oh man.
That's cute.
I mean, we did play Overwatch in a group together once.
Oh my god,
that's true. That's a life bonding experience.
That was like an hour.
I don't think
months ago. No, we did not do well. We did very poorly.
No. It was So going back to the thing we were talking about before, like I definitely like get that too because it's almost hard to like balance the very idea of doing this show because it's like it almost the joke of it is that like why would three men do this, right? That's like the hook of the podcast is like, oh, guys wouldn't normally read this book, much less talk about it for like an hour every week. Like that itself is a joke, and so the idea of like having to like get in once I got into it, and like this was something I didn't think about beforehand, but like once we got into it and started like actually talking about it, and then like getting some of that feedback, like I started to realize like, oh, like this is like we are making a product that is being listened to like pretty much only by women, just according to our demographics. But at the same time, that's good because like I think that a lot of women are probably looking to hear like some input from men on these books, which is probably something that they haven't heard before. And if that's what we're doing, then like we need to be a little more like responsible about like providing like actual like critique. You know what I mean? Like, because like there's no point in the thing if we're just going to sit here like talking shit about it. Like there's not really a point to do this anymore. You know what I mean? I don't know if that.
It's just got to walk that line between like making goofs and making it too much of an actual like mean dunk. It's like walking that line between mean and funny.
So I think
it's easy to slip around like that. Sorry, go ahead.
I think what's maybe important about this podcast is yes, you are men in a women's space, but what I'm kind of hoping comes out of this podcast is more men get curious about books maybe aimed for women and maybe read or are willing to read these books because we are at a time right now where a lot of these books are starting to come under fire. People want to get them banned. I think there was a bill out in Oklahoma trying to ban any sort of like book that has any sort of explicit material written. And, of course, a lot of romance and fantasy and romantasy will sometimes be more explicit than maybe other genres of books. So my hope is that you guys make it seem like this is an okay thing for men to read and to discuss, and you attract more men into the genre. So it's not just a women-only space.
Well, we got Kyle. So
we did get Kyle.
I already got one win.
Did you?
Yes.
I mean,
Did he read
in
the
the
book?
No, he didn't read the book, but
did he listen to our podcast about the book? Also, no.
Also, no.
But he's real.
Like, he's standing outside of the store watching everyone eat this delicious food and being like, wow, that sure looks good.
Yeah.
And he's cheering us on. He's like, yeah, do it.
You eat that.
I think that's a good point, though, because, like, even if, like, I don't become, like, a big nut about, like, these, like, romantasy books, like, I'm going to be honest with you. I think it is unlikely that I will find myself, like, reading, like, Fourth Wing because I think it sounds cool right now. But I do think that it's totally, and not even possible, but probable that, like, men who get into this and would never have thought about it would be like, oh, I do like this, you know, like, I never even thought about, like, stepping foot in this kind of thing before, and now I'm like, all right, this is cool. So I agree. I think that's a cool thing we can do and hope to deliver as a service.
If not for this podcast, I probably would not have read it. Even though Alexa's been kind of like, you never really like we're trying to get me to read it that hard. You're kind of just like, you should read this, and I was like, no. And then the idea of the podcast came up, and I was like, you know what, this is perfect. This is great, and I'm glad I read it. But I'm excited to get to the future books that apparently, from what I've heard, are a lot better.
Yeah.
I also found that, like, as you guys got further along into the book and, like, your enjoyment of the book grew, like, it made me feel good. Like, oh, good, my friends like the thing that I like. And, like, that felt really nice to really, like, hear your pure enjoyment and, like, happiness. And, like, wow, like, this was really cool. Like, and the discussion got more interesting, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I would hope so, obviously. But, like, yeah, I think maybe, like, I don't know. It's I think by the end of it, at least, but definitely by the time we got to, like, the third act of it, I was like, okay, like, I don't feel like this podcast is just, like, a big, like, fart joke anymore. I do actually want to talk about what's happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Whereas in the beginning, we were trying to, like, all right, what can we make jokes about?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. Because, like, it definitely went from, like, what can I do to make this funny to, like, oh, let's talk about this, and it's just funny to talk about, you know? So, yeah.
And also your guys' change from being like, wow, we'll probably just do the first book, to being like, oh, no, I'm actually interested in this series now. Like, that's cool. I love that for you.
Yeah, I definitely would not, like, I would feel very weird tapping out now. Like, I've sunk so much of my energy not only into this, like, book, but into, like, this podcast and this promotion and everything. I'm like, I'm so far deep into this thing, it would be insane to try to climb out of it now. Oh, also, I did want to check our demographics now. We're at, like, over 1,200 listens. Thank you, by the way. But
that's crazy.
Yeah, we're at, let's see. So female, 88% listeners, 9% male, and then 2.7% unspecified. But as far as, like, the age, though, like, I noticed that we have, like, a good number of people. Like, we have, like, 18 to 22 years old is, like, 13%, 23 to 27 is 24%. The majority of people are 28 to 34. That's, like, 41% of people listening, which is super
We're
nice.
talking to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's not entirely surprising.
Yeah.
No. And then also shout out to our fans in Australia, which we talked about, who, like, I guess the second after the US, which is 86% of our listeners.
Wow.
It's a lot. Australia is the next highest at, like, 4.5%. So, yeah. Did we say that we were supposed to do some Australian stuff for this episode?
Nope. I don't think.
What?
Throw a shrimp on the barbie, would you?
Oh, no.
Oh gosh, I don't even think I'm comfortable trying this. I've tried rehearsing an Australian accent before for D&D, just to, like, mix up voices, and it's so bad. Like, I won't even entertain it. It's bad.
Excellent.
I
Well,
love you so much, and it's bad.
I can't even do, like, the nor. That's I can't even do that. It doesn't even sound good when I do
the word that you
think.
got to get to nail down is heart. It's heart. I feel it in my heart.
That was good.
Thanks. I've been practicing. Okay. Anyway, thank you, Australia. So, by the way, I've had Vegemite and it's terrible. Let's continue.
I think
from what I've heard from my Australian friends, that is not an offensive statement to make.
No, I think a lot of them don't like it. Okay, so
what was that, Rachel?
Oh, I said you're gonna offend the two Australian fans, but I guess.
Oh, we said exactly opposite things.
I don't know how they feel about Vegemite. They might be defensive about it though. I don't know.
I have a couple of very close Australian friends, and at least they've told me that Vegemite's gross.
I think it is an
You
acquired
gotta
taste.
have the fairy bread. That's the good stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Fairy bread?
I never heard of
Bread,
that.
Yeah. It's like white bread, and I think with butter and then rainbow sprinkles.
Is this a book thing, or is this...
No, it's like an Australian snack.
It sounds like something a
That's a
drunk
fun- it's a
child
fun
would
tie-in.
make for dinner.
It absolutely does.
But I will be trying it tomorrow. We'll try some. Okay, so I guess if we want to like kind of move forward a little bit, how did you guys feel about our like reactions to our two main boys here, Tamlin and Rhysand, like both from like when we started and as we went through the book? Because I know you had some
spoilers.
Careful of spoilers. Thank you for saying. But yeah, I know Lyndsey had some thoughts on us, like about Rhysand and like our reactions to him and everything.
Gosh, I don't even know if I can remember at this point.
Okay.
But I definitely thought they were funny. I also just love every time you guys said that Tamlin had no riz.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
We described him as a wet blanket consistently.
I think that was correct, yeah.
Yeah.
I do feel like a lot of your feelings were the same sort of feelings that I had after reading the first book. But you also have like you have a little bit of like spoilery things for the future as well, like already in your brains.
Like we know that Rhysand is being set up as another love interest.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because of the nature of social media, we know that the general public who read this book prefer Rhysand to Tamlin by a pretty sizable margin. Mm-hmm. So much so that they have bad nicknames for Tamlin. So like we've been a little bit influenced by that sort of stuff to hear that. In advance.
To be fair, I was gonna say there is a pro Tamlin subreddit out there. So Tamlin has his fans, and they have their reasons.
36 active members.
No, miss me with that. I don't want anything to do with that. This is not
at some point in time.
Podcast. I'm putting my
not
foot down.
yet. Yeah, I do appreciate that we are definitely an anti-Tamlin podcast.
I don't want to say we're pro Rhysand.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
what I want to make.
Pro Tamlin.
I want to make that a point. Like we are not pro Rhysand, but we are anti-Tamlin.
Yeah, and this is another thing that we wanted to talk about with this group specifically. We talked about this, but I don't know how.
I literally cannot talk about Rhysand and his problematic behavior
because you've been so influenced by the rest of the books.
Yes.
Can you at least
because I have context?
Can you pretend to put yourself in the headspace of reading?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, I remember finishing that book and looking at my sister and being like, he's kind of icky, like.
Alexa's sister, who had already read the books.
She already read the books, and being like very much of just like, I don't like this recent guy.
Okay, so you do. Our feelings are not.
You're not crazy. I'm not gonna gaslight you into thinking that like you like have perceived this like bad behavior.
Joe's fist is double fist bumping in the air.
I think your problem comes from the fact that you've been kind of spoilered, because when I read it, like I wasn't really thinking about what was going to happen with him in the future. Like I was like, oh, he's kind of icky. There's something interesting. Like they're going to do something interesting. I was like, he's going to be some kind of character. But you guys are really struggling with, all right, how are they going to redeem this character? How is he going to be the love interest? And I was like, you're getting kind of ahead of yourself, because as far as you know, in book 1, he's not supposed to be the good guy. Like he's supposed to be the icky bad guy. So yeah, he's gonna do like icky bad guy stuff. They constantly
talk about how hot he is. How else are we supposed to read this character?
Yeah. You're supposed to read it as if this were a romance book written for women who sometimes want to romance the villain.
But that's what I'm saying. I agree with you.
That was the question I had. Was also wanted to have this discussion was. His obviously for me mainly, this is my first time reading this type of romance book. I don't know if I can't speak for my other hosts, but what was the take from women on that behavior? Was that so it's
really controversial.
Was our take entirely overreacting?
Yeah. The fandom is kind of split on this behavior. So if you go into fan spaces where people are discussing these books, there's controversy over Rhysand and his behavior, and some people accept you know, the reasoning behind it, and some people say no, I don't accept it. I draw the line at it. But I think that's why they call him morally gray. Like there's this gray area. So some people would, you know, the ends justify the means for some people, and some people the ends don't justify the means. And I think that once you figure out kind of, or once you find out what's going on, and what's his deal, you may feel differently about him, but you might not. There's people who are fans of this book or of these books that don't like him, and it's not an uncommon position, as far as I can tell. Just kind of perusing around some online spaces, there's a few number of people out there that are not Rhysand fans.
And this is after the entire series?
This is after the
book?
entire series.
What are they saying on r/Shadow Daddies?
I don't know.
I feel like that's a pro-Rhysand opinion.
It's gotta be.
I mean, there's more people that are pro-Rhysand than are anti-Rhysand, but you know, there's a good, you know, he is a not an uncontroversial person. I think the only uncontroversial person in book 1 might be Lucien.
Lucian's great. Everyone loves Lucien.
Yeah, I like Lucien. He's probably my favorite
Lucien
character.
is the best. Lucian's the best. But to your point about like us constantly being like, oh, how are they going to redeem him? How are they going to redeem him? Yes, we were getting ahead of ourselves, but we also didn't let that color our opinions of Rhysand. It's not like we were like, oh, well, we better like him because they're going to redeem him. We were all like, the fuck, this dude sucks. Yeah. Like what the hell? How are they going to make us like him? We were more just like thinking out loud, how can they possibly make us like this guy?
I guess. Good.
I was just going to say, I tried to search to see if there was a Shadow Daddies subreddit, and the first one it suggested was fantasy romance. The second subreddit it suggested was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh my gosh, this is an absolute overlapping of nerve interest. This is literally...
That was not catered to me.
Year of the Shadow Furry confirmed.
All right, what were you going to say, Rachel?
I
forgot.
Like,
there were certain... Yeah, for Rhysand there were like certain lines he said where I was like, that's just aberrant. Like,
exactly.
Fucked up.
I just assumed he was like the charming villain. At this point in book 1, I was like, oh, he's like the charming villain. Like, he's the bad guy. I was like... My expectation was, when I got to the end of book 1, is that Feyre was going to go back to the Spring Court and live happily ever after. And I was like, so what happens why is, you know, if that's the ending of book 1, I was like, what are these other 4 books about? So I figured there was like some shenanigans going to go down, and I figured he was going to come back in some kind of way, but I didn't necessarily assume he was going to be a likable guy or a love interest. I mean, it took me by surprise when I guess people did start to, you know, tell me differently when I was at the end of book 1 that they liked him, and I was like, I just thought he was like a villainy kind of guy in the way that some people just really like the villain.
Yeah, but there's a whole just like genre, or just not genre, trope of like romancing the villain, like shitty bad guys who will kill you.
Okay.
There's actually,
because I was gonna say,
there's a
oh my god, this was the visual reaction you had to that statement, Patrick, was fantastic. As you had to like mentally process that statement.
Because I was also thinking, like, because you brought up the point, we asked the question of like, why is she constantly describing Rhysand as the hottest fucking person on the planet? And you said, because this is a romance novel, this is the kind of book it is. But to the other point, like, Rhysand's the only other male in the book that is described that way. Like Lucien, she never thirsts after Lucien, even though from what we know, Lucian's pretty handsome from what I gather. But she doesn't.
I mean, she does describe him.
Yeah, when she's dying, his mask comes off, and she said, even as she's dying, she's like, "Oh damn, Lucien was pretty hot."
But like, she never talks about his forearms, which is Joe's threshold, which is how Joe gauges how attractive people are.
And honestly,
it's entirely forearm-based metric.
Feyre was wrong for that. She should have thirsted after Lucien. This would have been an entirely different series.
Yeah.
I would have loved to know more about Lucian's romance.
Yeah.
But Alexa, to your point, I can't remember if Patrick had mentioned you had mentioned this to him, or Rachel, you may have also said this to me just in real life. But our reaction was entirely us never having seen the trope before of romancing the villain. It's very common. Everybody else that reads these books is very familiar with that. But for us, this is our first time, so we were just like, and apparently, I think maybe it was you again, maybe it was Rachel. This isn't even the worst thing that happens in these kind of books.
I've heard that.
Relatively speaking.
Yeah, you told me that too.
You said it too, or someone said that.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe it was Rachel.
If you like start getting into like the romance genres, there is like the dark romance genre, which is pretty controversial among women. Like some women love it, some women find it, terrible. It's not for me, but I don't hate on it. But
I don't want to yuck someone's yum, but if it's worse than the recent stuff, I don't think it's.
And honestly, the recent stuff that he's done to like her, like that's not the worst example of like bad things happening to characters in this series that you're gonna read. So you're gonna read some, I think, worse things that happen to characters as you go
as long as it's not from a character that we were supposed to be like, ooh, who's this hottie doing this creepy stuff, like as long as it's not that mentality, I think I'll be okay.
I agree.
I don't think
I was gonna throw out one other thing though, which was like this this trope we're talking about does have like a reverse trope that is extremely popular in anime called yandere. I don't know if Patrick, you guys are familiar with that. Like the reverse of this situation where there is a man who is like in love with a woman who is psychotic and like trying to kill him all the time, and they're like in a relationship together, but she could snap and kill him at any second. It's a very popular anime trope.
Does Toradora count as that? Where like she's just like that's super mean to him?
That's called tsundere. That's where she hates you, but she loves you. This yandere is like a elevation of that, where she's literally trying to kill you at all times. Like even having like a romantic and sexual relationship, she's still trying to kill you during it.
I've not heard of this. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little intrigued.
If you want to see the most example of this, there's an anime called Future Diary. Don't watch it because it's terrible, but watch it to see what I'm talking about. Anyway,
instead of enemies to lovers, they're just enemies and lovers.
They're just enemies and lovers. Okay. Exactly. Yeah, that is 100% what it is.
Interesting. So I've heard of enemies to lovers, like the closest
tropes. We love tropes.
Yeah. So Joe mentioned like what is our experience with these romance books, and we've already kind of established the three of us have zero experience with romance books. However,
I think I saw in a book someone kissed once. So like
nice. I have heard of that before, but I have watched Bridgerton, and I actually fucking unironically love Bridgerton. Whenever a new season comes out, Alexa and I binge the shit out of that. Mm-hmm. So I do love Bridgerton, but that doesn't have like it does have enemies. Season 2 is enemies to lovers, but it's not like fucking villain. I'm gonna fuck you up to lovers.
Yeah, sure, but like there aren't really villains in that show,
right? That's what I mean. It's not a fantasy. It's not that kind of show. It's like that's the closest thing I have. It's like I've seen enemies to lovers before, but it's not like like villains to actually want to fuck you.
My point of reference for romance is like 90% anime rom-coms, which I've seen all of. And we watched one together, Romantic Killer, which I very much enjoyed.
Romantic Killer's fun.
Yeah. But I've watched like almost all of the ones that exist, like even the really bad ones. But I really enjoy anime rom-coms. I hate live action rom-coms. Get those real people out of my stories. But like, yeah, from that angle, it's interesting because in those stories are so different because it's like third base is like holding hands. You know what I mean? In those things.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like at the end they might share a glance, and if you're really lucky, they might kiss in like the final episode. If you're like really lucky, but almost never. And like coming from that is like my only point of reference for romance personally. So like that's kind of where I came from when I was like, oh, they're just like just kind of smacking each other's butts around this room, huh?
Yeah.
I think for me, like with romance, it's never. I'm not like anti-romance itself. I've realized recently with other, just in general, when a piece of media or literature has too much interpersonal conflict as it goes on too long, I have a certain threshold where I just am not interested anymore.
Oh, you don't like misunderstandings?
not even, I don't even mean that, like, it can be, not, I'm not saying, like, it's poorly done or something, but just, if the main cast of characters, like, you know, even in, like, Avatar or something, if there's too much interpersonal conflict going on for a prolonged period of time, I'm just not a fan of that. I then want the conflict to shift back to an external threat from the party, from our main cast of protagonists. So that's I think that's why romance is not necessarily a genre I've been attracted to, is because inherently it is an interpersonal conflict that is, you know, that is what it is inherently.
I think you'll be surprised because a lot of, and I'm fairly new to the genre myself. I've only been reading it for like a little over a year, but a lot of it is romance, and like, yeah, there's sometimes misunderstandings, but a lot of times there's like these bigger forces coming in between them. So there's like a lot of war. That's a really popular thing that seems like it's coming between two lovers, is war, or there is some sort of baddie or villain or something that's causing conflict, and the kind of will they won't they pull is happening. I mean, yes, sometimes again there's interpersonal things going on, but there's also a lot of the bigger picture, like what you want, Joe. And so I think you'll see more of that as we get into the book 2 and book 3. There's going to be some outer forces kind of doing some pushing and pulling, as well as some inner conflict as well.
Nice.
Yeah, and I would definitely say that that's more of like fantasy romance sort of stuff. If you guys want straight up romance, then you're going to get those interpersonal stuff. And then you get into all sorts of really fun tropes, like there was only one bed, fake dating.
I've seen fake dating. I've heard of that.
What is fake dating? Just like you're pretending to date each other?
Fake dating, yes. It's just like, oh, these two people that either like don't know each other or like kind of know each other or like don't really like each other. They have to pretend to be dating for like,
I have seen this.
I need to get my parents off my back, or like
yes.
I need somebody to come to this Christmas party with me, and then they fall in love for real.
That's in movie. That feels like a pretty common trope.
Yeah. It is a common one, yeah.
I like it.
I like that one.
I like the one bed one personally.
Yeah.
There's only one bed. I adore. Every time they're like, we need to go to a hotel for the night. I'm like, only one bed. Only one bed.
Didn't that also happen in the Bible? There was only one bed? Or there were no beds? No. That's different.
There were no beds.
Oh, no beds.
The Bible was the first romance novel confirmed.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So I was going to say we should start kind of wrapping up here. Are there any other points you wanted to throw out, maybe more about how we felt about the end of the book, or how we talked about it, or something like that?
I have some notes.
Yeah, I don't like how you said Rachel's like, I have so scary. Yeah.
Rachel gets out a big book and goes, shakes and I have
my first one was Patrick was the most right out of all of the predictions. Patrick.
Oh, I didn't know you were taking stats.
I was
good.
Except with your whole, you kept saying the adder was a snake.
That was true, though. We proved that.
That was not me. I was not the person who was making the adder as a snake thing.
You did.
That was Nirav.
Episode 13, I re-listened. You did call the adder a snake.
You did because I gaslighted him into doing it.
Yes, thank you.
But it's not gaslighting because I believe it.
Nirav is the first one who called the adder the snake because adder and adder ADD sounds similar. So Nirav was like, oh.
It's the same.
It's a literal snake.
When you're listening to the word adder being spoken, it just sounds like ADDR. So I just was like, oh, it's a big snake. I had no reason to think
so that's
otherwise.
what Nirav said. And then it was several episodes prior, we were joking about the adder is just those upright snake people from Elden Ring. Uh-huh. So then later on, when Rachel was accusing me of bringing up snakes, because then Nirav mentioned the character in this that literally is based on snake
the Naga.
mythology.
The Naga are snake people.
Which I also wanted to bring up. I loved that. That was probably one of my favorite bits that you did in this, of just that little here's a history blip. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Excellent.
So when I brought up that there were two snakes, I was confused about because I didn't know the Naga was a real snake thing. I thought Nirav was making another joke because the adder, we talked about being a snake several episodes prior. So I was
lost in translation.
I cried snake too many times.
Yeah, Nirav gaslighted not just me, but the entire audience. So everyone's like, Patrick and his snake thing. Find Nirvana first.
I heard you.
Our own social media manager fell for it.
It's true.
I'm sorry, Patrick, that I doubted you.
It's okay.
Another thing I wrote, I think you guys were discussing about how the Fae are tricky and like they twist their words, and that comes out of like I think traditional Fae lore, out of like Irish and Scottish traditions. So that's Sarah did not invent that. So that's a pretty typical thing to expect from the Fae. They're pretty tricksy. The
like hobbits.
Yeah, I mean, I think my understanding is that the exact lore changes is maybe not set in stone, but in some cases they can't lie, but they're very like like monkey paw kind of, you wish for one thing and they're gonna twist it
like a genie.
Yeah. So they can be like that, and I think that's where she is taking inspiration from for some of this. When you're like, oh, they're very tricksy and they're twisting their words, and I think that's where she's getting the inspiration from.
But they can. It's been established they can lie, right? That was just they were just goofing. Farah.
Yeah,
that was the best twist.
But I mean, I think it's also that like Farah and humans believe
humans believe all this.
Humans
fairy
believe
lore.
that fairies can't lie, and like that iron.
Yeah.
And then Farah just comes in. She shows up at the house and like, fairies can't lie, right? And they're all like, yes.
Well, there are two fairies.
Right.
One of them only tells the truth, and one of them only lies.
Yep.
But which one opens the door?
Yeah. Which one is the door path forward, and which one falls you into a pit full of hands?
What?
It's a labyrinth reference.
Oh, God.
Damn it.
Damn. All right. Well, look out for Labyrinth 2 coming soon. Actually.
Oh
no,
gosh.
nobody wants that.
Sorry.
Doing
can't
Labyrinth
stop it.
without Bowie is sacrilege.
That's wild to me.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, don't worry. They'll make it worse by creating an AI Bowie to do a cameo.
Played by Jared Leto.
Hey, can I yell?
Please stop.
Sorry, I need to yell about something
wanna
today
quit.
that made me
I
so
hate
fucking angry. I don't need to talk about the whole of this show. I finished watching Karate Kid today. The last episodes came out today. I need to yell.
This is such a fucking
Cobra
sharp
Kai.
right turn.
Cobra Kai, whatever.
No, I know.
No. I needed to say this. They put an AI Pat Morita into the thing that they generated in the finale, and it made me so fucking angry. And I was like, as this big
It's like
emotional
a Karate Kid spoiler. Do we need to put a Karate Kid spoiler warning at the top of
fucking
this episode?
Karate Kid spoilers. No, I don't know. Sorry, I just got mad about this earlier today, and I was like, "What the fuck, guys?" And then anyway, so that's that. I didn't like that they did that. Okay. Okay, so let's fast forward to under the mountain.
Wait, didn't Rachel have more notes?
Rachel, do you have more notes? Sorry.
I mean, we've touched on most of them. The last thing I want to say is that I really like the interview with the vampire show that is on AMC. And when I was watching the show, I was like, the vampire Lestat reminded me so much of Tamlin, just who his character is, but also the guy, and I think his name is Sam Reed, and I could be wrong about that. The guy who plays Lestat to me looks very much how I pictured Tamlin in my head, and so I would love it if anyone listening has seen the TV show Interview with the Vampire and would come discuss this with me on the Discord, I would love that, because no one I talk to has seen the show that has also read these books, and I have this like Tamlin Lestat theory that I really want to talk about with somebody.
I'm very.
We're all on our phones.
Yeah, we're
right
all
now,
looking up
Googling
pictures
Yeah.
of this
who
guy.
this man is looking at pictures. of.
Listener, if you're
curious
driving,
about
pull
this
over to the side of the road, pull out your phone, and Google.
By the way,
Sam
Rachel,
Reed.
I don't know.
Go on your phone.
I don't know if Rachel saw me laugh or not, because there was a brief pause when Rachel says, like, yeah, the last note I had is, I really loved Interview with a Vampire, and I thought that was the end of the note.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I see this. Yeah, I can see.
I could see
what,
that,
this
yeah,
gives
I could see
Tamlin.
it.
Yeah.
But his character too, the character that he's playing, there's some interesting parallels between him and Louis.
Oh, Sam Reed, the actor. You guys, there's another Sam Reed. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? It's just some politician. I was like, no way. That
He
is not
definitely
Tamlin.
definitely don't want him to play Tamlin.
Well,
but
actually, I would say Lestat looks like Lestat looks like Tamlin. The Samri, the politician, definitely is like what Tamlin's personality is. A wet fucking blanket of a man.
Oh.
Yeah, I could see this guy being Tamlin. Absolutely, I could see that.
Yeah.
I look at him and my brain thinks Lucian.
Ew, no.
No, dude. Listen, I was actually about to say this because I think as we've...
Lucian's a redhead.
Like, as we got to the end, I think that we could... I think Jensen Ackles could actually play Lucian after we talked about this earlier.
No.
I like him.
No.
Why?
Oh, guys.
You can change his hair, dude.
Rachel, Lyndsey, did you already... I already know Alexa's opinions, but did you have any, like, fan casting for Tamlin and Raisin?
Not really. Like, I've seen some on TikTok that I'm like, yeah, I like that, or no, but nothing big, I think.
Nothing? How about for Feyre? Anything?
No, all the fan casting...
I think Feyre needs to be an unknown, right?
Yeah, that's what I've seen all the fan casting is, like, really unknowns.
Rachel, do you have any ideas?
I don't. Now, celebrities aren't really... I'm really bad at recognizing people, but...
That's true.
So I don't, outside of my strong opinion on Sam Reed playing Tamlin, I don't have any other opinions on who should play anybody.
And we like the idea of Henry Cavill being recent.
Yeah, I think we were all on board for that, like in the past.
Henry Cavill with a
but
tan.
I think a lot of people, from what I've seen, and I've obviously tried to stay off of like social media spaces for this to avoid spoilers, but like. The bits I've seen the majority of people seem to want an animated show out of this, not like a live action show.
Yeah, the live action show
because they just don't feel like the actors are gonna like. I think people just don't feel like live action actors are gonna work for like these characters that are supposed to be so ethereal. Is my read on this, but I don't know.
Yeah, the live.
I mean, I don't know. You could make that argument about like most books. I don't know, maybe not. Like I don't know. It's a lot of books that you're like The Witcher. I don't know if that would have been better animated than as a
like almost as a video game. That could have been cool.
That would have been dope.
Yeah,
they should do that.
Should have done it. Yeah.
They just lost.
I don't know. Or that cast in. I do think Jensen Ackles hard no.
No.
I think maybe if we were to get Jared Padalecki back in his prime,
really for
that
Lucian,
could be a better Lucian.
Dude, he's too tall and lanky. No way.
That's what I picture Lucian as.
Jared Padalecki. How do you spell that?
Padalecki.
Yeah, Padalecki.
Yeah, what he said. He's the other Supernatural guy.
Back in Supernatural, like seasons 1 through 5.
I don't know.
He has too much forehead. That is such a specific criticism about this guy.
Christ.
Yeah, I've always thought that.
No, but I also think Astarion is straight up Lucian. If you just made
he's not a real man. He's a character in a video game.
We can make him real. We can use AI. Don't do anything.
Don't ruin this for people, Nirav.
Okay. Neil Newbon could do it, I guess. Just.
I don't know who that is.
He's the guy who plays Astarion, but like he doesn't look like this character needs to look. He's a cool guy though. Oh. Shout out to Neil if he's listening. I feel like he's not, but just in case.
That'd be fucking insane.
One of these days we're gonna make a shout out to some celebrity who is actually listening to this podcast, and it's gonna be huge.
This is gonna be big.
Beyonce, we love you.
Beyonce, she's our best listener. Yep.
There's a non-zero chance she's listening. It's not like above 1% or even near it, but it's not zero. It's not zero. Okay. Anyway, all right. Rachel, do you have any more notes?
That was kind of the end of it. The last thing I was going to say is there was a live show of ACOTAR in the making, and they just decided not to move forward with it. So it's kind of back on the drawing board. So it could potentially be animated, but I know right now Fourth Wing is in the making, and Quicksilver got picked up by Netflix. So there's a very...
Wait, why did ACOTAR get canceled? I was really looking forward to that.
Was it canceled or just like put on hold or something?
They decided to not move forward with it. I think it was Hulu was producing it, and they basically I don't know exactly. I just know that they came out like last week. They said we're not moving forward with this. So she's Sarah J. Maas is gone, and I think she's shopping it around some more at the moment.
Okay,
so
starting over.
there's a good chance.
This happened days ago.
Yeah, it's gonna. I think there's a good chance it's going to pop up at some point in a few years, but
sure,
you know, it remains to be seen if it's going to be live action or animated.
I mean, by the time this actually gets made, I think it's going to have to be like all unknown people to us. Like, you know what I mean? Like people that are young enough to actually do these roles or whatever.
We'll have a chance to actually have finished the books by then.
Oh, yeah.
We could be in it. Could be us.
I could be the Boge.
Mm-hmm. You could be the Boge. You know what? I've always thought you had Boge energy, Nerve.
Oh my gosh. Every time you guys call it the Boge, I die a little
It's
bit.
pronounced Boge.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. The real pronunciation is Boget.
Sorry,
right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously the original French, but like, you know, once it migrated into English, the accent was lost.
You're trying to orphan my poor son.
What? So Patrick would.
I'm dying.
So if Alexa dies, Patrick doesn't get the baby.
Yeah, like what?
Well, startling revelation.
No,
here
if I
tonight.
go, he goes with me.
You're slowly dying. You get a knife out and stab you in the neck as you're dying.
That does remind me of
That's
a
how
great
marriage works.
No one can have my son but me.
What's crazy is on our vows, it didn't say till death do us part. It says at death do us part.
Really? Wow, that is the fine print you gotta look for.
That is some Amarantha shit right there.
Classic. Okay, well, let's go ahead and start wrapping it up. So, does anyone else have anything they want to throw out before we close out? Or
I just want to shout out our Discord again. We have several channels. I've been spending a lot of time in the book channel. A lot of us just finished Onyx Storm, and there was some discussion about that. I'm currently starting Throne of Glass, or I will be starting Throne of Glass in a week or two once I get through my current book club book. And so if there are people out there who have read the books or interested in starting the books and want to do like read along and discuss it, I would love that. And everything.
Yeah. Also, there is an exclusively spoiler chat in the Discord as well. If you want to talk and that the three of us have muted, we don't look at it obviously because we haven't read the books yet. So if you want to go in there and like talk shit or whatever, you can do that.
Yeah,
as well.
the spoiler chats for the ACOTAR books, but you know, if you want to discuss books, but you haven't, you know, maybe you're reading Fourth Wing and you haven't read Onyx Storm yet, all the spoilers in the book channel are behind spoiler tags, so you can join in on the conversation without being spoiled.
Yeah, and you can find all that at acababpod.com. That's our website. It's on all the things there. Easy to get to. There's a big button to say join our Discord. Very easy. Yeah, and so I think that from there, I guess we're going to be moving on to, I guess this is unfortunately, I can't put it off any longer. I will have to start listening to book 2 now. But Upgrade, we are, I'm going to be listening to the radio drama version, not the like narrated audiobook.
Yeah, same. Joe, are you doing that too?
Really?
I think I have to. Otherwise, I'm going to be missing a lot.
You're going to be listening to Jennifer's beautiful narration.
Yeah,
No,
Joe's going to be
I
complaining about the narration.
No, I don't think my therapist can hear about Jennifer Aikita's voice anymore. Like I have like real topics to talk about. I'm just wasting time.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to be probably starting that in the next week or so and getting ready for that. So that episode I think will be up March 14th if my math is correct. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, we're moving on to book 2, and then I think I did some calculations, and I think that roughly if we just continue doing the books, then we will be done by the end of 2028.
Oh my gosh.
Cool. So Alexa and I will have a 4-year-old, 5-year-old?
It's going to be a podcast baby, and this podcast is going to chronicle the early years of this baby, and you can come back and listen to them and be like, "What the fuck was going on? I was right over there in this crib."
Hey man, little dude, if you're listening, you're standing and crawling.
Yep.
But you're not walking yet.
Not walking yet.
Your favorite word is dis.
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 He says dis as he points to everything. It's very cute.
He likes to diss people. Okay.
Yeah.
He does. And there are some episodes you can hear him in the background. And, sorry about that, I guess.
Sorry, I didn't
If you're
know.
if you're listening and you fucking hate kids, sorry.
It's very interesting actually thinking about that, because it's like, I don't know, you would have. Can you imagine like being an adult and going back to listen to like your parents like narrating a podcast 20 years ago or something, and just like,
and then hearing yourself in the background as a baby or something.
That's crazy.
Weird.
Yeah. Well, sorry, I'm being very optimistic, assuming there will be any technology left on this Earth in 20 years. But like,
dude, I'm supposed to be the one that says the depressing shit. We can't both do this.
No, you're right. You're right.
Don't make us. We're at the thought of what the world will be like for our child in 20 years. Don't make us think about that.
Yeah, that's true. Unless he leads the revolution.
Oh.
Never know.
There's an idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, let's wrap up. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm glad we were able to do this. Obviously, the scheduling was difficult, but I'm glad we made it work. I'm glad we got to do that. So yeah, we will be back with you in March. Right before the Ides of March, we're gonna have an Ides of March special.
We can't keep doing special all the fucking time.
Every episode will be something. We have to look up some holiday. That falls closest to the episode. All right, and this current bread. This next one is the bread of the month special.
National Donut Day special.
Yeah,
National Donut Day special. Can't wait for that one.
Real troopers know that National Donut Day was like 3 months ago, so we gotta wait a little while.
Damn.
We will have a National Donut Day episode.
Yeah,
I swear to you, we will.
But no eating on mic.
No, I know we can't do that because
monsters.
of the ear thing people
That's
have.
that's for our Patreon subscribers.
Okay. Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah, I'll eat on
fans.
camera for everybody on Patreon. I'll just eat a bunch of
Can
shit,
you? Well,
whatever.
Joe.
No, that involves you showing your face, though.
Joe. You need to cover your face. So just wear one of those V for Vendetta masks while you eat food on camera.
Oh, and like just shove
Shove
food
it
through the
through the
mouth.
mouth.
There's a
Oh, yeah.
tiny little mouth hole and just shoving food through the teeny tiny little mouth hole.
Okay, that'll be a Patreon award.
Wait, before we go, I just want to. I know that the sign off is the keep on tracking, but also support your local bookstores. I want to once again shout out local bookstores. The Ripped Bodice in Culver City and also in New York.
Great local bookstore.
Yes, very good. That's my favorite one. That's where I got introduced to quite a lot of romance books. Another one that I know about is Meet Cute down in San Diego. That one is very adorable. I only know California-based ones firsthand.
Well, we know about the New York Rip Bodice location just because they have the
it's a
sister
sister
location
store,
here.
Okay,
Rachel, can you speak to any local bookstores you've been a fan of here in Atlanta?
I haven't been to it yet, but I know there's one called All the Tropes.
the Tropes. I was about to mention it.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to go there myself, but it is on my to-do list.
Yeah, if you're in the Atlanta area, I haven't been there either, obviously, but there's a new local bookstore. It's only been open for 2 months, called All the Tropes. It is romance focused entirely, locally owned and everything, and woman owned and all that. And it is over in East Atlanta Village area. So definitely check it out if you're in the area. I want to go see it.
It sounds fun. Love it.
We spent all this time talking about romance. What about romance? You know?
I don't know what that is.
Because the word man appears in the middle of the
Did
word
you just
romance.
mansplain romance to her?
Good night, everybody.
I asked. Let's
Alexa
be fair.
did ask.
Let's be
To be
fair because
fair,
I didn't know
Alexa
what
didn't
was.
get the joke.
It's not mansplaining when I need an explanation to a joke.
Okay. All right, guys.
Romance
Can I save that audio clip as my justification if I get accused of mansplaining?
Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll be back with Book 2, Earth, and we'll see you guys in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna plug Avatar. Rewatch Avatar.
Yeah,
It's great.
do that,
That's
actually.
my plug.
Do that, too.
And then keep on trucking.
Keep on trucking.
Alexa, you have to say it.
And support your local bookstore.
No,
no,
say keep
say
on
it.
trucking.
No.
You
Say
have
it.
to say it.
Keep on trekking.
Yes.
Everyone has to say
Yay.
it. Rachel, say it.
Keep on trucking.
Lyndsey.
Keep on trucking.
You put a little, English on it. I like that. Okay.
Thought it was Southern.
No, that's just a phrase. All right, bye.
Bye. Keep on trucking. Thank you.
Support your local bookstores.
Yeah. All right, and pausing that, and I'm going to pause my recording.
Do I hit pause? Do I hit stop?
go fart or something?